Hi there. Welcome to the Science Lullaby. I'm really glad you're here. Maybe your room is dimly lit. Maybe it's completely dark. Maybe you're already lying in your soft, cozy bed. Or maybe you're just looking for a calm space to let your mind rest for a while. Wherever you are, you found a quiet place made just for you. A place where science slows down, where curiosity becomes calm, and where you can drift peacefully into sleep while learning something beautiful. So take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Feel the weight of the day slowly fade away. Inhale gently and exhale all that tension. As your body settles, your mind begins to open. Even as you fall asleep, your brain keeps listening. And when you wake up, some small part of this knowledge will still be with you. Tonight's lullaby is about how the human brain creates dreams. So close your eyes, let go of the day, and let's drift together into the quiet science of sleep. Have you ever wondered what happens inside your mind after you close your eyes? That mysterious world that begins where consciousness ends? For centuries, humans have tried to understand dreams. Those fragile movies our brains create each night, made of memories, emotions, and imagination. Long before science existed, ancient civilizations already saw dreams as messages from beyond. In Mesopotamia, they believed dreams were letters sent by the gods. In ancient Egypt, priests acted as dream interpreters, decoding symbols to guide pharaohs. And in ancient Greece, philosophers like Aristotle and Plato debated whether dreams came from divine inspiration or from the inner mind itself. Thousands of years later, that same question still whispers in our heads. What are dreams really made of? When you drift into sleep, your brain doesn't switch off. It transforms from an engine of logic to an artist of emotion. The rhythm of your breathing slows. Your body becomes still, but inside your skull, a cosmic storm of electrical patterns begins. Billions of neurons start communicating in a dance that is both chaotic and organized, both real and unreal. This is the theater of dreams. Science now tells us that dreams happen mostly during REM sleep, short for rapid eye movement. It's a stage of sleep discovered in the 1950s, when researchers noticed people's eyes darting beneath closed eyelids, while their brains showed signs of wakefulness. It was shocking at the time. While the body rests, the brain behaves almost as if it's awake. During REM, your limbic system, the emotional core of your brain, lights up. That's why dreams feel so vivid, full of fear, joy, sadness, or love. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic and self-control, goes quiet. That's why our dream stories make no sense. Why we can fly, breathe underwater, or talk to people who no longer exist. In dreams, emotion takes the lead and reason steps aside. For a long time, science dismissed dreams as random noise. Neuroscientist Francis Crick, one of the discoverers of DNA, once suggested that dreaming was the brain's way of clearing out useless memories, like hitting the delete key on a hard drive. But later, research proved it's far more meaningful. Today, scientists see dreams as part of the mind's memory consolidation system. During sleep, your brain revisits what you experienced that day, sorting, organizing, and connecting it to your existing knowledge. It files important memories into long-term storage and lets go of the unimportant ones. Dreams, in this sense, are the emotional signature of that process, the mind's way of feeling what it's learning. Think about the last dream you had. Maybe it was strange, or peaceful, or frightening. Maybe it was about someone you love, or something you lost long ago. Even if the story was absurd, the feelings were real. That's because your amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center, stays active through the night. It's processing fear, excitement, anxiety, or nostalgia in the safest environment possible. Your imagination. In dreams, your mind can explore what reality forbids. You can revisit moments, reshape them, or confront what you avoid in waking life. It's therapy that happens while you're unconscious, and sometimes the brain uses that therapy to heal, integrating difficult experiences into your memory without the sharp edge of pain. But dreams are not just emotional, they are creative. Throughout history, they've inspired discovery and art. The chemist Auguste Kekulé saw the structure of the benzene molecule in a dream, a serpent biting its own tail. Mary Shelley dreamt of a lifeless creature reawakening, and from that nightmare came Frankenstein. Paul McCartney once said that the melody of yesterday came to him in a dream. Even Albert Einstein reportedly visualized himself riding a beam of light, the image that sparked the theory of relativity. In that quiet darkness, your mind becomes boundless. Logic loosens, imagination expands, and what feels like chaos is, in truth, your brain's deepest form of play. Across cultures, dreams have been seen as portals, not just into our minds, but into something larger. In Native American traditions, dream catchers were made to filter nightmares, letting only good dreams pass. In Japanese folklore, it's said that dreams born in the year of the tiger carry special power. And in Islamic philosophy, the scholar Ibn Sirin wrote that dreams were the language of the soul. These ancient beliefs all share something timeless, that dreams are a bridge between what we are and what we could be. Science may strip away the mysticism, but the wonder remains. When you dream, your neurons don't just replay your day. They simulate new realities, testing possibilities you've never lived. Each night, you become an explorer of inner worlds. Isn't it beautiful? While your body lies still, your mind travels galaxies, built entirely from thought. And somehow, when you wake up, a small trace of that journey stays with you. A memory that never really happened, yet somehow feels true. Dreams are the proof that your brain doesn't rest, even when you do. It's the hum of the subconscious, softly painting emotion into logic, chaos into order, memory into story. So tonight, as you close your eyes and drift away, remember this. Your dreams are not random. They're your brain's way of talking to itself, of understanding, healing, and creating. You are the author, the reader, and the dream all at once. And the universe inside your head is as infinite as the one above your bed. Now that we've explored what dreams are and why they exist, let's dive deeper into how your brain actually creates them, neuron by neuron. As you drift deeper into sleep, your body becomes still, yet your brain begins one of the most complex symphonies known to science. This is where the story of dreams truly begins. For most of human history, we thought sleep was a form of inactivity, a shutdown of the mind. But with the rise of neuroscience, we discovered something far more fascinating. During sleep, the brain is anything but silent. In laboratories around the world, scientists began connecting sleeping volunteers to EEG machines, devices that record the brain's electrical signals. And what they saw changed everything. Instead of flat, quiet lines, they found bursts of activity, that looked almost identical to those of an awake brain. The difference was not that the brain stopped working. It simply changed its purpose. Your night is divided into cycles, each lasting about 90 minutes. Inside these cycles are stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, rapid eye movement sleep. Dreams can happen in many stages, but REM is their most vivid home. During REM sleep, your body is effectively paralyzed, a natural safety mechanism to prevent you from physically acting out your dreams. Your breathing becomes shallow, your heart rate rises, and beneath your closed eyelids, your eyes dart back and forth as if following invisible scenes. Inside your skull, neurons fire in intricate waves. The pons, a small structure near the base of the brain, begins sending electrical bursts through the thalamus, which relays them to the cerebral cortex, the outer layer responsible for thought, perception, and imagination. This chain reaction ignites the mind's theater. In this state, several brain regions begin playing very different roles. The amygdala becomes highly active. This is where fear, joy, anger, and desire originate. That's why dreams are often charged with intense emotion. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which governs logic and judgment, quiets down. That silence explains the dream world's strange logic. Why we accept impossible events without question. You might find yourself breathing underwater or walking through walls, and your dreaming brain calmly agrees that it makes perfect sense. Other regions, like the hippocampus, collaborate to pull fragments of memory from your past day. It mixes them, reshapes them, and links them with older experiences. A forgotten childhood street might merge with a recent conversation. Dreams, in this sense, are the mind's remix, a collage of your own thoughts, stitched together by neural currents. For decades, researchers believed these bursts of activity were meaningless, a byproduct of neurons randomly firing. But as brain imaging grew more precise, a pattern began to emerge. The activation wasn't random at all. Certain regions consistently lit up, especially those tied to emotion, memory, and sensory imagination. In 1977, scientists Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley proposed the activation synthesis model, suggesting that the brain creates dreams by trying to make sense of spontaneous electrical activity during REM. It's as if your mind receives a stream of scattered signals and weaves them into a narrative, a story that explains the chaos. You are, in a way, both the author and the audience of a film written in real time by your subconscious. Later research, however, went further. Modern neuroimaging showed that dream formation overlaps heavily with the same networks we use for daydreaming and imagination, particularly the default mode network. This network, active when our mind wanders, connects the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate cortex, and the angular gyrus. When you close your eyes and drift into thought, this network is painting mental pictures. During dreams, it becomes your canvas. Even as you sleep, your brain continues a conversation with itself. The locus coeruleus, a cluster of neurons responsible for producing noradrenaline, the chemical linked to alertness and stress, nearly shuts off during REM. This creates a unique state where the brain is highly active but emotionally safe. It's like watching your fears from behind glass. At the same time, the neurotransmitter acetylcholine surges. This chemical enhances memory processing and imagination. It fuels vivid images, fluid storylines, in the sense that dreams are real while they last. Dopamine and serotonin also fluctuate, shaping how dreams feel. When dopamine rises, dreams become more narrative and emotional. When serotonin dips, the line between self and world blurs, leading to surreal, floating sensations. Together, these chemicals form what neuroscientists sometimes call the chemical orchestra of the sleeping brain. So, what exactly happens when a dream begins? Imagine your mind as a vast network of billions of neurons, each exchanging signals across microscopic gaps called synapses. When you enter REM sleep, signals travel from deep brainstem structures upward to the cortex. These signals stimulate sensory regions: the visual cortex, auditory cortex, and somatosensory areas. Even though your eyes and ears receive no real input, the result: internally generated sensations. You see without seeing, hear without hearing, feel without touching. Meanwhile, the prefrontal areas, responsible for skepticism and logic, remain quiet. Without their supervision, your imagination runs free. Every night, your mind builds a full sensory simulation, as real to your brain as waking life. In fact, modern fMRI scans reveal that when you dream of walking, the motor cortex activates just as it does when you actually move. When you dream of talking, the language centers of the brain light up. The difference is that the final command never reaches your muscles. The brainstem blocks it, ensuring your body stays still. Dreams are the ultimate neural illusion. They are self-generated realities, crafted by the same machinery that interprets the real world when you're awake. That's why it's so hard to tell a dream from reality while you're inside it. Your brain uses the same neural pathways for both. Interestingly, not all brains dream equally. People who remember dreams often have stronger activation in the temporoparietal junction, the region involved in self-awareness and empathy. This may explain why some people dream vividly every night, while others rarely recall them. And when you wake abruptly during REM, your memory networks capture the dream before it fades. But if you drift naturally into non-REM sleep, the fragile memory dissolves within minutes, like mist in sunlight. This orchestration of signals and chemistry tells us something profound. Dreaming is not a side effect of sleep. It's one of the brain's most essential modes of processing. Every night, it performs maintenance on your emotional world, filing memories, connecting ideas, and reshaping how you feel about your experiences. In that sense, dreams are the brain's form of storytelling, not to entertain, but to heal. They take what you can't fully process in daylight and give it shape in the dark. So when you wake from a strange dream, don't dismiss it as nonsense. It might be your mind's way of making peace with itself. Now that we've peeked inside the neural orchestra that creates our dreams, let's move deeper into the chemical symphony that gives those dreams their color and emotion. In the next chapter, we'll explore the neurochemistry of sleep and how molecules like dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine shape the tone and texture of the worlds your mind creates each night. Take a breath, stay relaxed, and when you're ready, we'll begin. Every dream begins with chemistry. It is easy to imagine dreams as stories or symbols, but beneath those floating images lies an intricate network of molecules, quietly shaping what you see, feel, and remember. Your brain is an orchestra, and each chemical is an instrument. When you fall asleep, that orchestra begins to tune itself for the night. As you drift from wakefulness into sleep, certain neurotransmitters fade away, while others rise in gentle waves. The first to quiet down is norepinephrine, the chemical that keeps you alert, scanning for danger, ready to react. Its silence marks the beginning of surrender, the point where the outside world loses priority and the inner one begins to form. Then serotonin, the molecule of balance and mood, also steps back. Without serotonin's grounding influence, your thoughts start to loosen. Boundaries between ideas blur. Memories and emotions begin to flow into one another. Meanwhile, a new leader takes the stage, acetylcholine. This neurotransmitter surges during REM sleep, turning on regions of the brain linked to memory, perception, and imagination. Acetylcholine ignites vivid imagery. It paints colors, sounds, and sensations into the dark, transforming chemical signals into living scenes. It is this molecule that allows your brain to see a sunrise that isn't there, or to feel the warmth of a hand that doesn't exist. But acetylcholine doesn't work alone. The sleeping brain is like a dimly lit concert hall, where different sections play at different volumes. When dopamine enters, the music of emotion swells. Dopamine is often called the molecule of motivation, but in dreams, it becomes the molecule of narrative. It gives your dream its sense of direction, the feeling that something is happening, that there is meaning or purpose, even if you can't explain it. High dopamine levels can make dreams cinematic, full of movement and emotional charge. Low dopamine, by contrast, leads to fragmented or repetitive dreams. That's why certain medications that affect dopamine, such as antidepressants or Parkinson's treatments, can dramatically change the vividness of dreams. Another key player is GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, the brain's natural sedative. It lowers neural noise, calms the cortex, and creates the slow, rhythmic waves characteristic of deep sleep. GABA is what allows you to sink into that heavy, floating sensation before dreaming begins. Without it, your brain would stay restless, unable to settle into rhythm. Together, these chemicals don't just create dreams, they maintain balance. While acetylcholine and dopamine excite imagination, GABA and serotonin restore peace. It's a delicate interplay. Too much of one, and the dream collapses into chaos. Too little, and the mind stays silent. Inside this balance, something extraordinary happens. When your body becomes still, the glymphatic system, the brain's waste-clearing network, activates. It flushes out toxins that build up during the day, including excess neurotransmitters. As fluid washes through the brain's tissues, neurons reset their chemical sensitivity. It's a nightly cleaning that keeps the orchestra tuned. You might be dreaming of oceans or skies, but deep inside, your brain is performing maintenance on itself. Each chemical also affects what kind of dreamer you are. People with naturally higher acetylcholine activity tend to have more lucid dreams, moments when they realize they're dreaming and can influence the story. This is because acetylcholine strengthens communication between the hippocampus and the visual cortex, making mental imagery sharper and more controllable. Those with higher dopamine activity often report more emotional dreams: joy, love, fear, passion. Dopamine links the limbic system to the prefrontal cortex, creating narrative structure around feeling. And those with more GABA or serotonin may experience softer, slower dreams, full of calm images and gentle transitions. For them, sleep becomes less a movie and more a meditation. But even chemistry cannot fully explain the why behind dreams. It tells us how neurons fire, how molecules flow, yet something deeper remains. Why does the brain use so much energy to simulate worlds that don't exist? Why does it rehearse fear, replay joy, or imagine impossible things? Neuroscientists believe these chemicals form a training ground for the mind. By recreating emotional experiences in a safe space, the brain learns how to handle them better when awake. This process, emotional regulation, is why people deprived of REM sleep often become irritable or anxious. Without the nightly rehearsal, their emotions lose balance. Dreaming, then, is not wasted time. It is neurochemical therapy, an automatic process that integrates memory, emotion, and creativity. When you dream of something frightening, your brain isn't punishing you. It's rehearsing how to face fear. When you dream of someone you miss, your mind is reestablishing emotional closure. And when you wake with a strange new idea, a melody, a painting, a solution to a problem, that's the creative side of acetylcholine and dopamine working together. Dreams can be laboratories of innovation. Studies show that artists, inventors, and scientists often have more intense REM phases. Their brains produce more acetylcholine and dopamine during sleep. This doesn't make them superhuman. It simply means their neural orchestra plays a little louder at night. The melody is imagination. The rhythm is biology. Modern imaging lets us see this orchestra in motion. When acetylcholine rises, we see blood flow increase in the occipital lobe, the brain's visual center. When dopamine peaks, activity in the limbic system glows brighter. These scans show colors shifting like auroras inside the skull, silent fireworks mapping emotion into pattern. Yet all of it happens without sound, without light, without movement, a galaxy of signals spinning within a sleeping head. When you wake in the morning, the orchestra fades, dopamine retreats, serotonin returns to steadier mood, norepinephrine rises, sharpening attention. You open your eyes, the dream dissolves, and consciousness resumes its usual tempo. But something of that music remains, a feeling, an image, a trace of emotion that colors your day. Perhaps that's why some mornings feel peaceful for no reason, as if the residue of a beautiful dream still echoes in your mind. It isn't just imagination, it's neurochemistry. Dreams show us that the mind and the molecules are not separate worlds. They are reflections of each other. Your emotions, your memories, your creativity, all are built on the chemistry of a few microscopic elements. And yet, from those tiny molecules emerge galaxies, faces, and stories only you can see. The next time you dream, remember that your brain is performing a masterpiece, one written in neurotransmitters instead of notes. Every surge of dopamine, every wave of acetylcholine, every breath of serotonin is part of the same nocturnal symphony that keeps you human. Now that we've listened to the chemical orchestra that brings your dreams to life, let's turn to the next chapter, memory and emotion, where we'll explore how the sleeping brain weaves feelings and experiences into the fabric of your subconscious mind. When you're ready, take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and drift with me into the next part of the story. Dreams are not random stories. They are emotional rehearsals. Every night, your brain takes the raw material of memory and blends it with the color of feeling, crafting scenes that make emotional sense, even when they defy logic. This process begins in a deep, ancient part of your mind, the limbic system. Here lies the amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure that responds to danger and desire, love and loss. Next to it rests the hippocampus, the memory librarian of your brain. Together, these two structures form the emotional heart of dreaming. When you fall asleep, the hippocampus begins sorting through the day's experiences. Every sight, sound, and conversation you had is replayed in miniature electrical bursts. Most of these moments fade quietly, but a few, the ones with strong emotion, are handed over to the amygdala for processing. Imagine your brain as a vast library at closing time. The hippocampus walks through the aisles, collecting today's books, deciding which to archive and which to discard. The amygdala, meanwhile, flips through the pages that made you feel something: joy, fear, embarrassment, love, and tags them for deeper reflection. In waking life, emotions rush by too quickly. We suppress, rationalize, or forget. But during sleep, with logic turned down and emotion turned up, your brain can finally read its own story. Neuroscientists at Harvard discovered that during REM sleep, the amygdala's activity increases up to 30% compared to waking hours. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, your inner critic, stays silent. This combination allows your brain to revisit emotional memories safely, without the stress chemicals that normally accompany them. In this way, dreams act like therapy. They replay difficult situations in a softer light. They let you feel what you couldn't feel before. And when you wake, you often find that a heavy emotion has somehow lessened, not erased, but transformed. This is why, after a breakup, a loss, or an argument, we tend to dream more vividly. Your mind is using the night to make sense of pain, sorting through fragments until the feeling settles into understanding. But dreams don't just process emotions. They also shape memory itself. Every time you learn something new, your brain creates fragile connections between neurons. These connections are unstable at first, like footprints in sand. During sleep, the hippocampus replays those neural patterns, strengthening the ones worth keeping. It's as if your brain whispers to itself, "Remember this, it matters." At the same time, unrelated details fade. This selective editing is why sleep improves learning and creativity. When you dream, you're not simply remembering, you're reorganizing information in a way that makes deeper sense. Experiments have shown that people deprived of REM sleep perform worse on memory tests, especially those involving emotional material. Without dreams, we struggle to integrate emotion and logic, fact and meaning. Inside the dreaming brain, memory isn't replayed like a movie. It's recomposed like music. Melodies from one day mix with themes from another. That's why you might dream about being back in your childhood home, talking to someone you met only yesterday. The brain merges memory fragments based on shared emotion, not time. It organizes life, not chronologically, but emotionally. That's also why we dream of people we've lost. The hippocampus keeps their images, but the amygdala still feels their presence. Together, they create scenes that let you see them again, if only for a few moments. The neocortex, the outer layer responsible for reasoning and language, joins this process too. During REM, communication between the hippocampus and neocortex increases dramatically. It's as if memories are being handed from short-term to long-term storage. But this handover isn't mechanical, it's emotional. Dreams weave feelings into facts, turning data into understanding. Psychologists call this emotional memory consolidation. It's why we can recall emotionally charged events more vividly than neutral ones. Dreams are the rehearsal, where that vividness is born. One of the most fascinating findings about dreams and emotion comes from studies on post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. In people who've experienced trauma, the amygdala remains overactive during REM sleep, and the brain fails to fully suppress stress hormones like noradrenaline. As a result, nightmares repeat the trauma instead of resolving it. It's as if the orchestra of sleep is playing the same dissonant note again and again, unable to resolve the chord. Therapies that restore healthy REM patterns often help these individuals heal. When noradrenaline levels fall back to normal, the brain can finally process painful memories safely, transforming them into distant echoes instead of recurring storms. So even here, in the darkest dreams, the brain's purpose remains the same: integration, to fold pain into understanding, to turn fear into resilience. Dreams don't only replay sorrow, they amplify joy too. When you dream of laughter, love, or discovery, your brain is reinforcing those neural pathways, embedding them deeper. It's emotional reinforcement, like carving memories into stone instead of sand. After a fulfilling day, people often report lighter, more colorful dreams. This isn't coincidence. Serotonin and dopamine levels subtly shape the emotional tone of sleep. A happy mind dreams in brighter shades. The interplay of memory and emotion also explains why dreams feel meaningful, even when they aren't literal. A dream might not predict the future or hide a secret message, but it always mirrors how you feel. If you dream of being lost, your brain might be processing confusion. If you dream of falling, perhaps your mind is testing the sensation of losing control in a safe environment. Dreams are metaphors the brain writes for itself. This emotional translation helps you wake with a clearer sense of what matters. You don't need to decode every image. You only need to feel what lingers. In one study, participants were shown emotionally charged images before sleeping. Brain scans the next morning revealed that those who experienced REM sleep showed less activity in the amygdala when re-exposed to the same images. In simple terms, the emotional impact had softened. The brain had done its work, not by erasing memory, but by making peace with it. Dreams, then, are not distractions from reality. They are how reality becomes bearable. Each night, your mind performs quiet, emotional maintenance. It repairs connections, rewrites narratives, and restores equilibrium. Without dreams, emotions remain raw and unresolved. With them, we heal, slowly, invisibly, completely. When you think of dreams this way, even nightmares gain purpose. They are simply the mind's way of confronting what it fears most, from a place where it cannot be harmed. As the night deepens, this emotional orchestra begins to settle. Memories have been filed, feelings have been soothed, the hippocampus quiets its rhythm, and the amygdala releases its grip. Soon, your brain will enter another mysterious phase, a state between consciousness and imagination, lucid dreaming. There, awareness and emotion meet in perfect balance. So take a slow breath. Let your thoughts drift, like pages closing in a story that isn't finished yet. In the next part, we'll explore what happens when the dreamer becomes aware of the dream, when the sleeping mind realizes it's awake within its own creation. Most dreams slip through your fingers like water. You live them and they vanish. But sometimes something remarkable happens. In the middle of a dream, you suddenly realize you're dreaming. You look around, and everything feels both real and unreal at once. This is called lucid dreaming, a rare moment when awareness wakes inside the sleeping mind. Lucid dreaming was once thought to be fantasy. For centuries, philosophers and mystics spoke of conscious dreams, but science dismissed the idea. Then, in the 1970s, researchers like Keith Hearn and Stephen LaBerge proved it real. They asked trained lucid dreamers to move their eyes in a specific pattern once they became aware in their dream. Because the eyes move during REM, the pattern could be recorded on an EEG, and it matched perfectly. It was the first proof that self-awareness can exist inside a dream. So what happens in the brain during these moments? Lucid dreaming sits at the border between wakefulness and sleep. The body remains in REM paralysis, but the prefrontal cortex, the center of decision and logic, partially reactivates. It's as if the conscious mind has been invited back to watch the dream unfold. At the same time, the parietal lobes, responsible for spatial awareness, light up, giving a sense of perspective and control. You're still within the dream, but you can now think, question, and choose. Scientists describe this state as hybrid consciousness, a delicate balance where the brain maintains both the freedom of dreaming and the clarity of waking. During a lucid dream, perception becomes sharper. Colors glow with impossible intensity. Sounds echo more vividly. People often describe it as being more real than real. This heightened awareness happens because the brain's sensory regions are fully active, while inhibitory control is reduced. In simple terms, your imagination runs at full speed, and you know it. But despite its power, lucid dreaming is fragile. If excitement rises too quickly, the body wakes. If focus slips, awareness fades. Maintaining the dream requires calm, a balance of curiosity and acceptance. From a scientific perspective, lucid dreaming offers a unique window into consciousness itself. It shows that awareness is not an all-or-nothing state. It can exist in degrees. You can be asleep and awake at once. Proof that the mind is capable of more complexity than we often imagine. Brain scans reveal that during lucid dreaming, gamma wave activity increases. The same high-frequency rhythm linked to insight and self-awareness in meditation. In both states, the mind turns inward, watching itself in real time. It's a reminder that consciousness is not confined to daylight. It extends deep into the night. Beyond science, lucid dreaming has fascinated artists, writers, and philosophers. Carl Jung saw it as a doorway to the unconscious, a space where symbols reveal truths too deep for language. Tibetan monks have practiced dream awareness for centuries through dream yoga, a meditative discipline that treats dreams as a continuation of spiritual practice. Their goal is not control, but understanding, to see all of existence, waking or dreaming, as illusion shaped by the mind. For modern researchers, lucid dreaming has practical value. It can help people overcome nightmares, improve skills, and explore creativity. By realizing their dreaming, individuals can confront fears safely. A recurring monster can be faced and dissolved. A lost loved one can be spoken to in peace. In laboratory studies, lucid dreamers who practiced physical actions, like playing piano or running, showed measurable improvements in waking performance. The brain's motor cortex activates in the same pattern as real practice. So, in a way, you can rehearse reality in the theater of dreams. But beyond therapy and training lies something more personal: the quiet wonder of being conscious in a world entirely your own. to float above a city of light, to speak to someone who exists only in memory, to walk across an ocean made of stars. These are not just fantasies. They are experiences born of your mind's own architecture. What's extraordinary is not that the brain can create such vivid simulations, but that you can witness them, knowing they are dreams. That awareness, gentle and profound, reveals something essential about human nature, our ability to observe thought itself. Neuroscientists believe lucid dreaming may be closely related to metacognition, the brain's capacity to think about thinking. During waking life, metacognition allows you to reflect, to realize, I'm feeling this, or I'm thinking that. In dreams, this reflective loop usually shuts off, but in lucid dreaming, it flickers back on. You regain the mirror of awareness, and in that reflection, the dream becomes your playground. Some researchers suggest that lucid dreaming and meditation share similar brain circuits. Both involve heightened activity in the anterior prefrontal cortex and precuneus, regions tied to self-reflection. This might explain why experienced meditators are more likely to experience lucid dreams. They've trained the mind to stay aware, even as it drifts. The emotional experience of lucid dreaming also sets it apart. Where ordinary dreams pull you along like a current, lucid dreams allow participation. You can reshape the scene, change direction, or simply watch with clarity. For some, this awareness brings joy. For others, awe. But almost everyone describes a sense of connection to the self, to imagination, to something infinite. Lucid dreaming reminds us that consciousness is not a switch. It's a spectrum. We spend our days at one end, fully awake, and our nights exploring the other, half asleep, but deeply alive. There's a humility in realizing that your mind contains entire worlds you rarely see. Each dream, lucid or not, shows that perception is a creation, a private universe built from neurons and memory. When you know this while still dreaming, the illusion becomes art. You realize that reality itself, even when awake, is shaped by the same processes, only steadier, slower, and shared by many minds instead of one. In that sense, lucid dreaming isn't just about control or exploration. It's about insight, seeing the mechanics of your own consciousness in motion. You are both the dreamer and the dream, the observer and the observed. Some lucid dreamers use the experience for reflection. They ask questions, seek creative ideas, or meditate within the dream itself. Others simply enjoy the feeling of freedom, to fly, to explore, to exist without rules. Whatever form it takes, lucid dreaming reveals the profound flexibility of the human brain, its ability to simulate reality so vividly that awareness itself can forget where it came from. And yet, even this state must end. As neurotransmitters shift, as REM fades, awareness dissolves again into the deep ocean of sleep. The dream continues, but you are no longer steering. The orchestra plays on without its conductor, and the music drifts into silence. When you wake, fragments of lucid dreams often linger, sharper than ordinary dreams, as if carved into memory. That's because awareness helps stabilize them. The prefrontal cortex reactivates early, allowing short-term memory to capture details before they vanish. This is why lucid dreamers recall their dreams more easily than others. But even if you forget, something of the experience remains. A quiet imprint, a renewed sense of connection to your inner world. Lucid dreams are reminders that consciousness is not limited by the physical. It can travel, create, and reflect even when the body rests. Now that we've explored awareness within dreams, let's move to the next realm, the purpose of dreams, where science and philosophy meet to ask, why do we dream at all? Take another breath, let the mind rest, and drift forward into that question. Why do we dream? It's one of the oldest questions humanity has ever asked, and one science is still trying to fully answer. Every night, your brain invests enormous energy to build intricate stories that fade with the dawn. It could have rested in silence, saving power. Instead, it paints scenes, revives emotions, and lets imagination run free. There must be a reason. Early scientists believed dreams were random, a byproduct of a sleeping brain firing aimlessly. But as neuroscience, psychology, and evolutionary biology advanced, a new picture began to form. Dreams are not meaningless. They are functional. They serve the mind in ways that waking consciousness cannot. Researchers today propose several overlapping purposes for dreaming: emotional regulation, problem solving, creativity, and survival rehearsal. Let's explore each slowly, one layer at a time. 1. Emotional regulation. Throughout the day, your brain accumulates emotion: joy, anger, fear, embarrassment, longing. Many of these feelings are left unresolved. When you fall asleep, REM activates, and the brain revisits these emotional traces. During dreams, stress chemicals like norepinephrine drop dramatically. This allows emotional memories to be replayed without triggering distress. It's like re-watching a difficult scene in a movie with the sound turned off. You can finally process it calmly. This theory, supported by researchers such as Matthew Walker at UC Berkeley, suggests that REM sleep acts as overnight therapy. The brain softens sharp emotions, turning raw experience into balanced understanding. It's why, after a night's rest, problems can feel smaller and memories less painful. Dreams, in this sense, are not escape. They are repair. 2. Problem solving and creativity. Another theory sees dreaming as the brain's creative laboratory. During REM, logical barriers fall and unrelated ideas connect freely. The prefrontal cortex, which normally filters thoughts, quiets down, allowing the mind to experiment. Famous discoveries have emerged from dreams. The chemist Kekulé envisioned the ring structure of benzene in a dream of a snake biting its tail. The composer Beethoven often said melodies came to him in his sleep. Even Einstein's thought experiment of riding a beam of light first appeared as a dreamlike vision. In this state, the mind reorganizes information in non-linear ways, making connections it would never attempt when awake. It's why people often wake with solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable the night before. Psychologists call this incubation. Your brain keeps working on challenges long after you stop thinking about them. And dreams are the workshop where that work continues. 3. Survival rehearsal. Evolutionary biologists offer another perspective. Dreams may have evolved as a safe simulation system, a way for early humans to practice dealing with danger. When you dream of being chased or lost, your brain is activating the same neural circuits that handle real-world threats. It's like a virtual reality rehearsal, training emotional responses without physical risk. This idea, known as the threat simulation theory, was proposed by Antti Revonsuo, a Finnish neuroscientist. He argued that by simulating threats, wild animals, enemies, natural disasters, early humans improved survival skills. Over generations, the capacity to dream may have become hardwired into our biology. Even today, these ancient patterns remain. Nightmares, though uncomfortable, might still serve the purpose of emotional strengthening, teaching the brain to regulate fear. 4. Memory and learning integration. Dreaming also strengthens the brain's ability to learn. During REM, newly acquired information from the day is reorganized, filtered, and stored. But the key is not repetition, it's integration. While awake, learning is focused and linear. While asleep, it becomes associative and creative. Dreams link new memories to old ones, giving knowledge context and emotional meaning. For example, if you study a new language during the day, you might dream of speaking it at night. If you're learning a skill, like playing an instrument, your motor cortex reactivates those patterns during REM. The next day, you perform better, not by chance, but because your brain rehearsed while you slept. This is why sleep-deprived people struggle with creativity, focus, and decision-making. Without dreams, the brain loses its integration phase. 5. Identity and self-reflection. Beyond function, dreams also explore identity. Inside them, you play roles, face challenges, make choices. Each dream is a simulation of you in another world. Psychologists suggest that this helps maintain a coherent sense of self. Even as your environment and relationships change, dreaming allows the mind to rehearse being itself. You test reactions, explore emotions, and reaffirm your narrative. This inner rehearsal can even influence waking life. If you dream of facing a fear or achieving a goal, the emotional memory carries forward. Your brain doesn't clearly distinguish imagined experience from real experience, so confidence built in dreams can subtly affect reality. 6. Philosophical and spiritual perspectives. Science explains the mechanisms of dreams, but their meaning has fascinated philosophers for millennia. Aristotle saw dreams as extensions of perception, echoes of sensory experience. Sigmund Freud viewed them as expressions of unconscious desires. Carl Jung believed dreams reveal symbols from the collective unconscious, a shared pool of human experience. In spiritual traditions, dreams are often bridges between the conscious and the transcendent. Tibetan Buddhism treats dreaming as part of spiritual practice, a chance to recognize the illusory nature of reality itself. In Sufism, dreams are considered a meeting ground between the soul and the divine. While science and spirituality use different languages, they share one truth. Dreams connect us to what we cannot see directly, the invisible landscape of the mind. 7. The healing function of dreams. Modern research supports what ancient mystics intuited. Dreams heal. When emotional or physical stress builds up, REM increases. The more distressing your day, the more your brain demands dreaming. This suggests that dreams are the mind's natural response to imbalance. In laboratory studies, participants exposed to stress, grief, anxiety, even physical pain, showed longer and more intense REM cycles. After several nights, their emotional responses normalized. Dreaming acted as a pressure release valve, resetting equilibrium. This healing may be why people feel mentally lighter after a deep night's sleep, even without remembering a single dream. 8. Creativity and integration. Dreams don't belong only to science or psychology. They belong to creativity. Artists, writers, and musicians often describe dreaming as an endless source of inspiration. The reason is simple. While dreaming, The brain is free from rules. It doesn't need logic or consequence, only connection. Every neuron that fires in sleep contributes to a hidden symphony of association. In that symphony, memories become metaphors, and emotions become stories. When you wake, some of that creativity lingers, shaping your thoughts, your art, your perspective. So when you wake with an image or idea that feels powerful but unexplainable, trust it. It's a message from the mind's nocturnal workshop, carried back into daylight. Dreams serve many functions, but perhaps their greatest purpose is this. They remind us that reality is not fixed, that imagination, emotion, and thought can reshape the world. First within, then without. To dream is to practice being human in infinite ways. Dreams teach flexibility, empathy, creativity, and resilience. They are the nightly rehearsal of existence. Without them, the brain would be a machine. With them, it becomes a storyteller. Now that we've explored why we dream, let's step into another dimension, the realm where dreams turn dark, strange, or unsettling. In the next chapter, we'll explore dream anomalies, from sleep paralysis to recurring nightmares, and uncover what happens when the dream world becomes too real. Take a deep breath. Let the mind settle. We're about to enter the shadow side of sleep. Dreams are often gentle, quiet stories that carry us through the night. But sometimes, the dream world bends, twists, and reveals its stranger side. These moments, when the rules of ordinary dreaming break, are called dream anomalies. They remind us that even in sleep, the mind can blur the line between comfort and chaos. 1. Sleep paralysis. One of the most striking dream anomalies is sleep paralysis, a moment when the body is asleep, but the mind wakes too soon. You open your eyes, aware of the room around you, yet you cannot move. Your chest feels heavy, your voice trapped. Some feel a presence nearby, a shadow at the edge of vision. It can be terrifying, but it's also one of the most scientifically understood experiences in dreaming. Sleep paralysis happens during REM atonia, the phase in which the brain prevents the body from acting out dreams. Normally, consciousness returns after this paralysis ends, but in sleep paralysis, awareness rises early, while the body is still locked in REM. Your muscles remain switched off, but sensory areas are awake. That's why you might see or hear things that aren't there. These hypnagogic hallucinations are remnants of the dream world, leaking into wakefulness. For centuries, cultures around the world tried to explain it. The Japanese called it kanashibari, bound in metal. In Scandinavian folklore, it was a demon sitting on the chest. In West Africa, the old hag pressed down on the sleeper. Science now knows it's the mind caught between two states, dreaming and waking. Both active, neither complete. The body sleeps, the mind dreams, the soul hovers in between. If it happens to you, the best remedy is understanding. Relax your breathing. Know that it will pass in seconds. It's not danger. It's a glitch in the rhythm of REM. A brief reminder that consciousness is a spectrum, not a switch. 2. Nightmares and night terrors. Another anomaly lies deeper in the emotional landscape. Nightmares and night terrors. Nightmares occur during REM, when the amygdala is active and fear finds vivid form. They are often triggered by stress, trauma, or sleep disruption. In them, the brain rehearses danger, sometimes to release it, sometimes to prepare for it. Night terrors, on the other hand, happen earlier, during non-REM deep sleep. They are raw panic without imagery. The person may scream, move, or open their eyes, but the mind remains unreachable. Children experience them most, and as the brain matures, they usually fade. In both cases, the brain is doing something essential, processing fear. In nightmares, that fear is visualized. In night terrors, it's released. Though unpleasant, these dreams serve a function. They teach the nervous system how to face danger safely. Modern therapy even uses this mechanism. People with chronic nightmares learn to rewrite their dreams through imagery rehearsal therapy. By imagining a new, peaceful ending before sleep, they train the brain to choose a different story next time. 3. Recurring dreams. Some dreams repeat, returning night after night or years apart. These recurring dreams often signal unresolved emotion or unfinished thought. You might dream of the same house, the same fall, the same endless journey. Neuroscientists believe recurring dreams arise when the brain keeps revisiting a neural pathway linked to an unprocessed feeling. Until the emotion is integrated, the pattern replays. It's not punishment, it's persistence. The mind's way of saying, we're not done yet. Over time, as understanding grows or circumstances change, the dream evolves. The house gains new rooms. The fall ends softly. The chase becomes a walk. When that happens, you know healing has taken root. 4. False awakenings. Sometimes you dream that you've woken up. You get out of bed, check the time, start your day, only to realize you're still dreaming. This loop, called a false awakening, can feel unsettling. It happens when parts of the brain responsible for orientation and self-awareness activate before full consciousness returns. The brain constructs a hyper-realistic version of your environment using memory, like a perfectly painted stage set. You believe you've awoken because the dream world has borrowed the face of reality. False awakenings remind us how convincingly the brain can simulate experience. They also explain why many lucid dreamers first realize they're dreaming through repetition. They wake again and again until awareness clicks. 5. Prophetic and shared dreams. Throughout history, people have spoken of prophetic dreams, visions that seem to predict the future, or shared dreams experienced by more than one person. While science finds no evidence that dreams can foresee events, it does acknowledge their predictive feeling. The brain constantly analyzes patterns and possibilities, combining them into scenarios. A dream that feels prophetic may simply be your mind forecasting, merging memory with probability. When something later resembles that dream, it feels like foresight. Shared dreams are rarer still. They can occur between people who share close emotional bonds, such as twins or partners. Scientists believe this stems from similar experiences and synchronized sleep cycles, creating overlapping dream themes. Though not supernatural, it highlights how connection shapes imagination. Dreams are personal, but they are also reflections of shared humanity. Our fears, hopes, and longings overlap more than we realize. 6. Sleepwalking and dream enactment. Most of the time, REM paralysis keeps the body still while dreaming, but occasionally, the system fails. When that happens, the dreamer may act out movements, walking, speaking, or even performing complex tasks, while technically asleep. This condition, called REM behavior disorder, often appears in older adults and is linked to disruptions in the brainstem circuits that regulate muscle tone. Unlike ordinary sleepwalking, which occurs during deep, non-REM sleep. This form happens during active dreaming. The dreamer's mind is fully engaged in a scenario, perhaps running, fighting, or reaching, and the body follows. It can be dangerous, but it also offers remarkable scientific insight. It proves that dreams truly involve motor activity at the neural level. Your brain rehearses movement as if it were real. Only the body is supposed to remain still. 7. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic states. Two other anomalies frame the borders of dreaming: hypnagogic and hypnopompic states. The first occurs as you fall asleep, the second as you wake. In these thresholds, the brain drifts between consciousness and REM, creating vivid imagery, sounds, or sensations. You might hear voices, see lights, or feel as if you're floating. These are not hallucinations in the pathological sense. They are the dream machinery warming up or shutting down. Artists throughout history have drawn inspiration from this edge of awareness. Salvador Dali famously napped with a spoon in his hand. When it fell and woke him, he would capture the fleeting images from that moment between wake and dream. These transitions show how porous the boundary between worlds truly is. Dreaming doesn't start or stop suddenly. It fades in and out like tide and shore. 8. When dreams feel too real. Some anomalies blur the difference between sleep and wakefulness so completely that the two worlds merge. People may wake with strong emotions, grief, love, fear, as if the dream had truly happened. In neurobiological terms, this happens because the brain's limbic system cannot always distinguish imagined emotion from real emotion. The chemical response, the surge of adrenaline, the release of dopamine is the same. That's why a nightmare can leave your heart racing for minutes after waking, or why a comforting dream can lift your mood all day. Your body responds to imagination as though it were reality. Dreams, in this way, are emotional rehearsals that the brain takes seriously. They can heal, but also haunt. 9. The fine line between disorder and design. Some dream anomalies signal deeper conditions: narcolepsy, REM behavior disorder, or chronic insomnia, where the boundaries between wake and sleep are disrupted. But even in these cases, the anomalies reveal how flexible the mind truly is. Consciousness is not a straight line. It loops, overlaps, and re-enters itself in ways science is still mapping. Every anomaly, every glitch, is a clue to the architecture of awareness. In a way, these phenomena are not mistakes. They are glimpses into how dreaming works. They show that sleep and wake are not opposites, but partners, dancing at the edges of one another. Dream anomalies remind us that the mind is vast, and that control is an illusion. We drift through landscapes of fear and wonder, built by the same machinery that shapes thought itself. Sometimes the system falters, and for a moment, we see the gears turning. Even in their strangeness, these experiences reveal one truth: the dreaming brain is alive, alert, and endlessly creative. Now that we've explored the shadows of sleep, let's return to the light. In the next chapter, we'll look at final reflections, how dreams shape waking life, and why understanding them can bring peace, creativity, and balance to our days. When you're ready, take one more slow breath. The night isn't over yet. It's simply preparing you to wake. Dreams are the quiet conversation between your mind and itself. Every night, without effort or intention, your brain weaves stories out of emotion, memory, and imagination, not to confuse you, but to keep you whole. When you close your eyes, you enter a universe entirely your own. There, you are the observer, the creator, the witness, and the dream itself. It's a space where the boundaries of identity soften and the rules of waking life no longer apply. And in that gentle chaos, the mind heals. For thousands of years, we've tried to define dreams as messages, as metaphors, as random noise. But perhaps they are something simpler. The language of the brain when words fall asleep. In waking life, we speak through logic. In dreams, we speak through emotion, image, and rhythm. Each dream is a sentence written in that deeper tongue. One that says, you are still alive, you are still feeling. Science has shown us the mechanisms, the firing neurons, the oscillating waves, the dance of chemicals and circuits. But beneath the data lies something profoundly human. The universal need to understand ourselves. Dreaming is how the mind listens inward, how it balances the infinite noise of thought with moments of silent clarity. You could call it maintenance. You could call it meaning. Either way, it is vital. Think of how much your brain does while you sleep. It processes emotion. It files memory. It creates art from experience. And it does all of this in stillness. While your body rests, your mind continues to build. You are never truly doing nothing when you sleep. You are rebuilding your sense of self. Dreams also remind us that consciousness is flexible, that it can stretch beyond the limits of the present moment. When you dream, time loses order. You might relive childhood, glimpse the future, or exist in multiple places at once. In that timelessness, the brain explores possibilities, testing what it means to be human in countless variations. It's as if every night we each live a small rehearsal for infinity. And when morning comes, even if you remember nothing, the work of dreaming remains. You wake calmer, lighter, perhaps more connected to something you can't quite name. That's the quiet success of dreams. They change you subtly, invisibly, and completely. So much of what keeps us balanced happens beyond our awareness. Dreaming is a reminder to trust that process, the unseen intelligence within you that knows how to heal, how to create, how to continue. Across all cultures, dreams have been regarded as bridges between worlds, between minds, between the known and the unknown. In ancient Egypt, they were divine messages. For the Greeks, they were shadows from the soul. For modern neuroscience, they are the symphony of the sleeping brain. Different names, same truth. Dreams connect what is separate. They are where science meets soul. Each dream, no matter how strange, carries a piece of your truth. You are every face you meet there, every landscape you walk through, every voice you hear. They are reflections of your own consciousness, vast, layered, and endlessly creative. You are both the scientist, observing, and the artist, painting the scene. When you understand that, even nightmares lose their power, because you realize the darkness, too, is you, asking to be seen, integrated, and released. The act of dreaming is also an act of faith. Every night you surrender to unconsciousness, trusting that you will return. You close your eyes, not knowing where the mind will go, yet confident it will bring you home again. This nightly surrender teaches resilience. It shows that letting go is not the same as losing control. Sometimes it's how we grow. That's the quiet miracle of being human. Our biology and imagination are not separate. They work together, seamlessly, to create the story of who we are. Perhaps that's the greatest purpose of dreaming. Not just to heal or learn, but to remind us that we are both matter and meaning. We are physical beings, yet we live inside worlds of thought, memory, and hope. Dreaming is where those worlds meet, where the scientific and the spiritual touch fingertips. So when you next fall asleep, remember that what happens inside your mind is as vast as the universe outside it. Your dreams are not just reflections, they are explorations. They are your consciousness traveling through infinite possibility. And if you ever doubt the importance of sleep, remember this: it is not simply rest, it is renewal. The night is not the absence of life, it is the hidden half of it. Without it, the mind cannot fully live. Trust the process, trust your mind, and let science sing you to sleep. You've been listening to the Science Lullaby, where curiosity dreams and knowledge rests. Good night.